Welcome to Bunkertown. On this week's show, we discuss the PGA Championship, talking Brooks Koepka, Michael Block, Corey Connors, and more. We then preview the upcoming Charles Schwab Challenge, where Sam Burns looks to defend his title after a thrilling playoff victory over Scotty Scheffler last year. Finally, we'll close things off with some listener questions and our new Bogeyed Plays of the Week. I'm joined this week by Nolan and Stark. Unfortunately, Reed is on that Monday Q grind, so he won't be able to make it this week. Let's get into it.
Oh boy, look where he's hit it. This is serious.
This is hard to watch.
You know, building sandcastles in the sand.
What happens is you have this sense of embarrassment.
That's a shank. He decided to re-tee. That's a shank. Oh, man.
But I'm surprised he mishit it that badly. Wow.
All right, fellas. While many might consider the PGA Championship to be the least important of the four majors, I think this week may have finally put an end to that slander. While the last few PGA Championships have been incredible, this one may top them all. We had Brooks Koepka winning his 5th major and 3rd PGA Championship. We had Viktor Hovland chasing his first major. Corey Connors looking to become the first Canadian since Mike Weir and 2nd ever to win a major. And maybe most impressively, we had a PGA Club pro, Michael Block, with the all-time Cinderella story. So let's start with the champion, Brooks Koepka. Stark, since you might be the happiest of the group to see him win, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I had a little cash on Brooks, and so it was a nice Sunday. I thought he was great. I thought he clearly was the star of the weekend. I know there was a lot of talk about him going into the week and if he'd have the same form that he had at the Masters. And he's a guy that has really grown on me. I think that the Netflix documentary was actually the best thing for him. There was a lot of hatred towards him. You know, people were maybe upset with the way he was treating Bryson, saying he was maybe bullying him. And then he just took the money. But it showed on the Netflix special that he really was a guy that was confused, conflicted, and unsure about himself. Unlike any other sport, football, basketball, hockey, baseball, whatever it is, if you're a guy that's won championships and you have a down year, you don't have to worry about it. There's going to be a team that's going to sign you, pay you millions of dollars, and let you at least try to play out of it. Well, you don't have that quality in golf. So when Brooks got injured, his game wasn't there, he felt like he had lost it and he would never get back there. But the show really showed the human side of him, which I liked. And yeah, he took the money and went to LIV, and that was his choice, and that's what he felt he had to do. And maybe it was the best thing for him because it cleared his mind. It allowed him maybe to play a little bit less golf tournament-wise, practice more, and it's showing in these 2 majors this year. So really happy for him. I thought he played great. I thought he slowed things down. He really slowed it down compared to the way he was playing at the Masters. And that was the best quality that took him to the championship.
Dude, I couldn't agree more. The Full Swing documentary really opened up Brooks Koepka to the world, see what he was going through. Only thing I don't like about him is he feels like he's 2 different people. One in the press conferences, being this big old bad guy, Brooks Koepka, and then you see him kind of vulnerable and human-like, and we love that. We love to see that from golfers. Everyone loved when Tiger started opening up more and not being this robotic guy. And Brooks's game is really freaking good. And when he gets on these runs, it seems like no one can beat him. So I, for one, have been an outspoken Brooks hater. I will not shy away from that. It stems from my fear of someone being able to even sniff Tiger Woods. I don't want anyone to ever even come close to him. And Brooks winning his 5th major already at the age of 33 or 4. Really impressive stuff. I have mad respect for him, but I still, I can't say I'm rooting for him necessarily. I was pulling for Hovland. Scheffler was coming on strong. It was another PGA Championship that delivered. So I don't think it's no, I don't know. It hasn't been the fourth major to me in a while. It's produced big time drama lately. So kudos to the PGA.
Yeah, it was great. Course was great. Course looked good. Fans were awesome. Upstate New York, they can be rowdy. You saw Brooks put it in the bunker on 11 on Sunday. And, you know, it was like the Bills Mafia fans. They were just yelling, fried egg, fried egg. So, I mean, they were in it. We saw them cursing out Bryson as well. And he just doesn't take it the same way, where Brooks kind of laughs it off, almost like, yeah, I'm an athlete. I'm a football, basketball guy. I'm used to fans chirping me or heckling me, where, you know, Bryson's just on edge the whole time, which is kind of nice to see, because not a fan of him. So it's completely changed, where I'm all Brooks and not a Bryson guy.
They were like booing Bryson, weren't they? I heard
Saturday when I sat down to watch, I kind of hadn't thought about it. Bryson and Brooks were paired together, I think, in like the second last group. Like, that would have been a massive story this time last year, but it was kind of brushed off because they're friendly now. And yeah, they booed the crap out of Bryson on the first tee, and you could see it affected him. I think he snapped hooked it left anyway and into the bunker. So he's a guy that just can't handle it, where Brooks it's water off his back.
It's insane to me, too, that Brooks now has 5 majors, more than Rory. Do you guys think, of all the active players now, will anyone else get 5?
I think Rory's got another one in him for sure. I think Scheffler could very well get to 5. John Rahm.
Rahm's at 2. It's a long way to go. We said the same about DJ.
Spieth.
Rory, for sure. Spieth.
What's Spieth at 3? He would need 2 more. Yeah, 5's a big number. It's top 20. Only 20 guys have gone to 5 before. It's a tough one to get there. But you see a guy like Phil, who he didn't start winning them until Brooks's age right now. So Brooks could have another 10 years in him. Hopefully he stays healthy. You know, he's had some of the injury history in the past. It's tough. The fields are tough. I mean, Scheffler, like, backing his way into a second place was just all-time Scheffler move.
Just out of nowhere.
I think that Brooks is a guy that is, major Brooks. He's only shows up for the majors. I've heard some crazy stats about, you know, his top 10s and top 20s in the 32 majors that he's played in. I think he's top 20 in 18 of the 32 majors or something like that. So if he continues to make sure that his entire year is focused on those 4 events, why can't he add to this? Why can't he get to 10? You know, by the time he's 40, it's definitely something doable, but it's so much tougher. I don't see a handful of these guys getting to 5 anymore, because there's so many good players. We mentioned it. Rahm and Scheffler and Rory and Thomas, and these guys are going to get majors. So when you spread it out like that, it's tougher for these guys to get to 5. And we know there's going to be some no-namers that pop up and win. And there's going to be some one and done guys that have one good summer and maybe win a couple and then disappear. So it's going to be a tough challenge for anyone to get to 5.
Yeah, these are the guys that are now into their 30s, right? And there's going to be another new crop of 23-year-olds, 25-year-olds that they'll probably rattle off a couple here and there too. So, yeah, golf is as deep as it's ever been. I don't think you can really argue with that. Yeah, Brooks has 5 majors and 4 other wins on the PGA Tour, I believe. Like, that is such an anomaly. That's such a wild stat. He's a guarantee. I mean, if someone doesn't put him in the Hall of Fame, then I don't know what they're smoking. But yeah, he was in before in my book.
So. He's in now. He's in now.
Incredible player.
Another amazing story from this week. Michael Block with the ace at 15, the par save at 18 to put himself into the PGA Championship next year. He's gotten sponsor invites to the Charles Schwab next week. Out here in Canada, we gave him an invite to the Canadian Open. Nolan, I want to know your thoughts on the Cinderella match.
Dude, could you write a better story than this? That was my question. Everyone's talking about the Cinderella story of Michael Block. He's a really good golfer. Let's first and foremost give him that credit. He's Southern California PGA teaching pro, which there's plenty of really great golfers down there. And I think he's won like 9 out of the last 10 PGA professional sectionals down there. So he's an impressive golfer. Let's not shy away from that. But the fact that he even made the cut was a huge deal. And then all of the theatrics that went around his round is just incredible. But yeah, getting back to the Cinderella story, my question to you guys is, if you were to produce this movie, the Michael Block story, would you write it exactly how it happened? Would you have him win the PGA Championship? Or would you have him like lose in dramatic fashion, like a la like a Friday Night Lights where they lose in a championship or he loses in a playoff?
Have you seen Tin Cup?
Yeah, seen Tin Cup. Yeah,
that's the movie. If I can join and jump in, I'm not a blockhead. I didn't find. Let me tell the story. Friday night, I watched the golf later on. I had kids baseball and stuff, so I watched it later on, and I said to myself, I was like, wow, they're showing this PGA guy a lot, and I was like, I don't really care about the one PGA guy that makes the cut. Like, you know, it's a nice to have that these guys are in the tournament. So I was just like fast forwarding every time they showed this guy. And then all day Saturday, it was all in the news. Oh, he made the cut. This, you know, he's crying in the press conference because he beat John Rahm. I'm sure John Rahm wanted to strangle him, that he was bragging about that. But I was kind of out on it, and I was with some buddies golfing, and we were all like, "This is too much of this guy. Like, what's the story on it? Like, do we really care about this guy?" And he's acting like all surprised about things. Like, come on, man, you've been in PGA Tour events before. So I started just betting against him as much as I possibly could on Saturday, and he kept going. Right. And now I was too late. I was all in on the Michael Block hate train. And now it was becoming a great story. And then he's crying because he gets to play with Rory on Sunday. And he's out at the bar Saturday night having beers. And now I'm like, wait, do I like this guy now? But I was already set in my ways. And then Sunday, he hits the hole in one. Unbelievable to dunk it on 15 with the crowd, with Rory. He needed that ace to get to the top 10, which would get him into back to the tournament, or top 15 back for the next year. So that was all good. But he plays it off like, did that go in? Did that go in? Yeah, it went in. Why do you think thousands of people are screaming and chanting? Because you hit it within 5 feet. So he just rubbed me the wrong way. Great story, but he rubbed me the wrong way. And now it sounds like I'm going to have to watch him at the Schwab.
Yeah.
He's going to be at the Canadian Open in my backyard. I mean, is this the year of Michael Block, and I'm just going to be hate watching him now?
100%.
I can't explain it anymore why it bothered me. But
I don't. Maybe it's a little correlated to my hatred for Brooks. Like, I don't really know. I can't like say I have a real legitimate reason of why I don't like. I mean, I explained why I don't like Brooks, but it's not that, like, there's no concrete good evidence behind that. But man, you got something wrong if you don't like Block, dude.
I have my mind made up on.
Oh, jeez.
I'm not that far off with Stark's take. But I turned though. I changed my opinion. So at first I was like, not that he was a phony and all, but I don't think it was on him. I think the broadcast kept making it seem like this dude's like an amateur guy who's like coaching on to make money. Then on the interview they're like, at first they're like, he makes $125 an hour. He had to correct them that he makes more. And then he's like, I don't actually even take clients because I'm lucky enough that I make money playing golf.
Yeah.
So it sounds like he's just a very bad professional golfer who got into the tournament and had a good week, rather than a nobody, an amateur. It wasn't like I got into the tournament, or they like took my coach in Toronto here and they're like, oh, get out there. And he had this ridiculous week. This was his 7th major championship.
Yeah.
7.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It reminds me of the guy who's always in the Masters, a finance guy.
Yeah. Eventually you just got to be like, hey, he's a hell of a golfer. He had a good weekend. I think he shot par both days, the first 2 days, which is great. But I mean, you know, he was laying up on the par 4 14th that everyone was driving. He was laying up, and then he would put the headset in, and CBS was interviewing him as he walked to his layup 150 yards down the hole. Go for it, man. Everyone else is. It just was bothering me. I can't explain it. I'm that guy.
He is an amazing golfer, and what I will say, when he made the ace on 15, I was like,
that's when I turned.
That's insane that no one makes a hole-in-one all tournament, and then he makes one. And I'm like, okay. Now it's starting to be a pretty good story. The broadcast, again, should have mentioned, like, wow, that hole-in-one gave him a chance at a top 15 and is going to make him a boatload of money. But then the par save at 18, like, that was also nuts. I thought he had no chance to get up and down. Made that, like, that is life-changing. And yeah, now he's going to be in the Charles Schwab Canadian Open. So yeah, I'm back on Team Block. But now I just want to see him just like try to be a pro golfer at this point.
He is. He's going on tour, man. He'll be at every tournament.
He's just going to play a full schedule.
He's going to be a sponsor invite wherever you go, man.
Just a sponsor's invite to every tournament.
Yeah, he'll be on the Ryder Cup team too.
Could you imagine if President's Cup and you got your Canadian boys out there and you got to take on Michael Block? You guys would be so pissed.
Connor's Block, final group.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So we already talked Brooks, we talked Block, and I know hopefully me and Stark, we don't get too much heat in the Twitterverse after that one. But let's get into our Canadian voice, Stark. Corey Connors, an incredible week, really. I would say that 16th hole, that bunker, it unraveled him and another guy we're going to get to, basically at the exact same points. So, yeah, what a week for Connors. Came up just short.
Yeah, I thought Corey was very calm, like he always is. He's one of those ice in his vein type of guys. Having that lead on Saturday, being in that final group was awesome for him. I know everyone up in Canada was rooting for him, and a lot of chatter on the broadcast about no Canadian major in 20 years since Mike Weir at the Masters, and that was such a huge deal up here. So I was rooting for him. He's a great guy. He's a great golfer. Stripes the ball. Putts from 5 to 10 feet. He's lights out, like so confident. Always puts it right in the back of the cup. Was putting great, swinging the club good. Any trouble that he got himself in, he was able to figure a way to punch out, get it on a green, save par a couple times. So things were going really well. But you're right. Saturday, 16, he's in that bunker. I was thinking, just get it out, lay it up, try to get on the green and give yourself a par putt because you're putting so well. And so what? If it's a bogey, you'll still be in the mix. And he just hammered that ball right into the side of the green. He clearly just butter knifed it right away. He didn't get the clean shot he thought he was going to get. I think he was trying to put too much on it to get it closer to the green as opposed to just laying up and getting it out. And it was hammered in there. And you could see the look on his face when that ball was stuck in there and the marshals coming over. They're trying to figure out the drop. He looked like, holy shit, I just threw away a chance at a major championship.
Yeah, I think that's a big difference. Corey, great job, great tournament. You did all you could, poor Canadian boy. But like you look at Victor Hovland's, Hovland had to go for it on 16 on Sunday, where Corey, just take your medicine, man. Get a bogey and, you're still in it. But it was brutal to watch.
You could say take your medicine, though, which is fair that maybe he should have laid up, but it's still so unlucky to happen like that. Because even if he hits the lip and it goes over, probably finds the fairway, maybe the rough, at least he has a decent chance. Where he had to drop his ball, gave him no chance at the green again, and then just put him in a terrible spot.
Do you think these guys watch golf highlights? Like, do you think Hovland got home Saturday night, watched the highlights, saw what Connors did? Like, how did he, then he's in that bunker.
I think so because of his reaction. When Hovland did it, he gave like a smile and he's like, oh my God, how did I just do that? It seemed like he maybe knew that someone else maybe did the exact same thing, but just crazy. Like maybe it's been happening to a bunch of guys, but for it to happen to two guys, either in the lead or one shot back at the exact same spot is crazy.
I can't remember the last time I saw an embedded ball in play. Like I can't even think, was it Patrick Reed that one time when he picked it up?
Yeah.
Like how long ago was that, right?
Just happened to two guys.
I think both those guys, Hovland and Connors, kind of had this interesting contrast where they were the two guys that were non-major champions going against Brooks and Scotty a little bit as well. So it was kind of the other side of the coin where we had a couple newbies going for it. And, I was rooting for both of them too. And they seemed like good guys and they were playing very well. going through right to the weekend. And even on Sunday, although Connor slipped there, the second hole, he had to lay up out of the sand. He was still able to get par. That settled him, and he was going good. And then it just fell apart for him, dropping even out of the top 10, which was killer for him. But Hovland stuck with it. And I thought there was a chance, and he was pushing, and he started to get a little bit confident, and he was matching Brooks all the time. And he dropped back a couple, but he was able to find a way to get it back within one. And he was right there. And there was a time where I was like, I think maybe he's going to be able to maybe even get to a playoff, which would maybe suit him better, where the pressure might then land on Brooks's shoulders. But Hovland was great. And then, once he kind of knows he's out of it, he makes a massive birdie putt on 18, which made him a ton of cash to get up there and tied for second.
True that. I mean, those two having the same thing happen on the same hole, crazy odds, almost as crazy as a PGA Tour, a PGA Pro making a hole in one. I'm sorry, guys.
You have to save us, Nolan, from the haters.
I can't get over it. I hate how much you guys hate him. I'm sorry.
I hate the broadcast more for just the way they went about it.
Yeah, in my opinion, the broadcast was ruining that. The ultimate beef I have right now is when broadcasts cut to a golf shot that's already been done, and they're like, previously on this episode of what and I hate that. It's like, we don't know it's live or not. Just tell us it's live and call it live, and maybe it's the producer's fault for telling the commentators that it's not live. But that's just, it's like, oh, this guy's teeing it up on a par 3 and you're cutting to it. I wonder what's going to happen here.
Need a throw. Here, I'll give a little hint for the broadcast. Give something like, here's Michael Block, 15th hole, needing to go 1 under in his last 3 to finish in the top 15. Then everyone's like, oh, is he going to hit this to 10 feet? This could be electric.
Yeah.
No, they're just like, oh, they basically said this is about to go in the hole.
They do a good job of really going, especially in a major, and there was a lot of notable names near the leaderboard. There was a lot of players involved. It wasn't a runaway until like the 14th hole on Sunday, where we knew it was kind of down to 2 guys. So there was a lot, they had to show a lot of golfers. For me, the broadcast, I mean, I love the adding of the leaderboard constantly in the bottom right corner, but I need to know what shot the guy is about to take in the top right corner. They're always late, or they forget to do it. Like, I know what what golfer's shooting because I follow golf a lot, but they got to remember that some people aren't. Some people are cutting their lawn on Saturday and they just pop their head in. They're like, oh, what's this guy shooting for? Like, we need to know this is a birdie putt, and it's a birdie putt to tie for the lead, or this is his 4th shot from the fairway because he put 1 in the water, whatever it may be. That's the communication that the broadcast needs to have. Right.
You're not sitting down for 6 hours and watching the straight broadcast, unless you're a lunatic like us, but yeah, I totally agree. There's so many things they can do better, and why they haven't, I don't know. It doesn't seem that hard. They're huge conglomerates. They make tons of money. Something I wanted to touch on is this was I guess the main broadcast was on ESPN, right? It's I don't know if you guys noticed, but we had way more hot mics this time than we saw at like the Masters, and it was kind of entertaining. I don't know if you guys saw like Rory call himself a pussy or something like that. Yeah. There's some good stuff going on because he swiped one right on the drivable par 4. That's kind of fun. I'm all game for the on-course interview with the AirPods or whatever. I think that's a great addition to the broadcast. So golf is a slow-moving sport, and they're trying, but try a little harder, please.
Yeah, they do a lot good. And then I had a lot of gripes though with the broadcast this week, especially Sunday. Like, they've done an amazing job innovating and trying to be creative with like the mic'd up and stuff like that. But like Corey Connors was just a couple shots back at one point. They didn't show him for like 5 straight holes. But they kept showing like Cam Davis, Kurt Kitayama. Here's Kurt Kitayama at 18 for birdie. This will put him 6 back. It's like, what are we doing?
Yeah. What did you guys think about Rombo back on the broadcast?
Love that. He's amazing.
They're like, oh, we'll have to do this again. And I think in the back of his mind's like, I never want to be with you guys on another major Sunday. I want to be in contention. I sucked on Thursday, and that's why I'm here on Sunday talking to you guys. And yeah, it's fine. And then the best part was they asked him a question, and he gave a long-winded answer about his golf game and where he was at, and it was very thoughtful and all that. But while he was doing that, they were showing shots that no one was commentating on, and they were massive plays that were affecting the leaderboard, and they couldn't jump. Jim Nantz couldn't jump in and be like, hold on a second there, John, we're gonna cut over to Scheffler with a birdie try to get within two. You know, it was bad timing, and Rombo just couldn't get out of his own way, talking a little too much on the broadcast.
I totally agree. Not enough Corey Connors. I'm not even a Canadian guy, and I was like, what even happened to him? Like, he was up there and then he wasn't, and I was like, what's going on with him? What was I gonna say about Rom? They let him go on about. They were asking him questions about Brooks a lot, and Rom was like, I don't really want to speak for Brooks. Like, it felt very awkward. He was like,
yeah,
well, I don't really know what Brooks's game is like right now, but if I were him, X, Y, and Z. It was super weird. It was like, don't put him in that position.
I think he does a great job in the booth actually commentating and giving insight. I thought sometimes they don't lead him too great. We talked the number 1 golfer in the world. We talked the number 2 golfer in the world. How about the number 3 guy, Rory? Another backdoor top 10 at a major. I mean, this guy just keeps doing it. He keeps teasing us. Is he going to win one? Stark, what do you think about our boy Rory?
Rory is such a roller coaster ride. I was on the Rory train this weekend, and it was so frustrating because he would go birdie, long par putt, and you're like, here we go. And then it was bogey, bad par that should have been a birdie. And I'm like, what's going on? And that was just Thursday. And then the same thing happened Friday, and the same thing happened Saturday. He just couldn't get the momentum going in the right direction. And then, of course, on Sunday, I was not surprised at all that at one point he was sitting third. And I was like, well, there he finally shows up. Another disappointing start to a major. And I am seriously getting worried that this guy's not going to win another major or a whole bunch of them like we had always thought he was going to, because he can't string together 4 good rounds in a major. And now we've got a big crop of young, good players, experienced players in majors that are just going to start stealing these from him. So I'm really worried about Rory being a major contender as opposed to just a top player in the world. He's always going to be a top 10 guy because he's going to win the, this tournament or that tournament. He's going to play in Ryder Cups, and he's going to be big in the FedEx Cup. But is he going to win majors? I just don't know if he's got it anymore.
Yeah, Brooks has won all his 5 since Rory's last one, right? No, Rory hasn't won one between then and now. It kind of reminds me of this kind of point in Tiger Woods' career where after that 09, after the 09 collapse against Y.E. Yang, Tiger was still a top player. He was world number 1. He was player of the year. Rory's done that in this stretch too, but he wasn't rattling off any majors at all. And it feels very similar. Rory's been a top 5 player for 5+ years now, but hasn't won a single major. He's been there backdooring. The backdooring thing is such a classic Rory move too. He had no chance of winning that tournament, but he ends up finishing in the top 5 he got. It was a weird week for Rory. I don't know. I have no doubt he'll win another one, but I don't know when it's gonna come. I don't know. He's got some figuring out to do.
Yeah, I thought a good step forward, though, for Rory. I thought in the majors is usually he's had that one terrible round, specifically Thursday. This week, his worst round was Thursday, but he was only 1 over par, 2 over par. He didn't have any terrible round this week, just didn't have his patented low round that he usually brings up. So I think, like you said, Nolan, I think he will get one. I think he'll end up with multiple majors. I do think he's still one of the top guys out there. But yeah, just you can't win them all. and he's gotten real close.
But as you said, Zach, on Thursday too and Friday, he would get to even par or even -1. And I think at one time there was only like 7 guys under par. And it was almost like, hey, just get yourself to red figures and then figure it out on the weekend. And he'd get there and then he'd blow it and fall back to +1 or +2. And these other guys just kept going. I mean, we're talking about a guy that wants to win majors, but he's shooting 70, 69. Brooks shot 2 66s on the weekend. Like, if Rory's not going to step up and have a, oh, wow round, then he's not going to win majors, because that's the only way these guys are winning majors is one of the 4 rounds. They're having a holy shit, that was a magical round. And he hasn't had one of those since I can't remember when.
And yeah, when he does have one, he has one terrible round to offset it. So
yeah, another guy near the top though, Viktor Hovland, the last guy we'll bring up specifically, like we said, did the exact same thing as Connors. Our guy Bob Harrig last week actually predicted him to win, and I thought it was looking real good. But I don't know, is this going to be a trend for Hovland, or are we expecting him to break through?
And that's is it a Ricky Fowler year right now for Hovland, where he's gonna like top 10 in every major and not win one? Could be. He's got great game. He's working on the short game a lot. It held up, even his short game held up under pressure this week too, it felt like, in a really difficult course. He was right there, so you can't knock him. If Brooks was going to make a mistake, he would have been there to capitalize on that. The 16th hole, he had to go for that shot. So his score could have been even better and even closer to Brooks's. But I think we'll see him win a major. I don't know if it's a multiple type of major player there with Viktor Hovland, but I think we'll see him get one.
See, I'm not as convinced on Hovland. I think he's a really good player. I think he's going to win tournaments. I think he's going to be on Ryder Cups for Norway there. He's going to be a top player in the world, but I don't see him being a guy that's going to rattle off a bunch of majors. He might sneak one out. Yeah, could, if he had a good weekend. If things went a little bit different this weekend, but he doesn't have that killer instinct, a guy that's going to go out and shoot that 66, as we talked about on Sunday. He looked a little hesitant on Sunday. He wasn't, until 16 when he really tried to go for it. There wasn't anything where he was really attacking pins and making a birdie run. And he kind of just was playing steady golf and trying to match what Brooks was doing. It was probably tough for him to play with him. I think that it might have been better for Hovland if he wasn't in that final group on Sunday and wasn't playing beside Brooks, because he looked intimidated, like he couldn't keep up and he couldn't beat him. And I felt by the 9th hole, I was like, geez, maybe Hovland's just going to fade off here in the back and we won't hear from him. And someone else, Scotty, I really thought Scotty was going to be the guy. It was going to come down to the 2 of them. And I just don't know if Hovland's got that oomph to really go and win a major or steal a major from someone.
He's only 25, Stark.
Yeah, you're right. I know.
He's super young. This is all great experience that he's gaining right now.
But my point is, on this show alone, we've said, oh yeah, Brooks, he's going to win more majors for sure. Rahm, he's going to win some majors. Oh, we know Rory's, he's going to win a couple more majors. Geez, but Phil, maybe this guy, all these guys can't win majors. There's only 4 a year, and we're due for a guy to win 2 in a year. Like, I can't remember the last time we had a guy win 2 in 1 year. This could be the year. What's stopping Rahm from going off to the U.S. Open and winning that? No problem. Brooks is going to be a top contender again. So where does Hovland fit in? Where does Rory fit in? Where does Connors fit in? It's tough. Golf is at a point right now where there's so many. And we talk about betting and picking outright winners. It's the hardest thing in sports to do, is pick an outright winner in golf, because there's so many good golfers that could win.
Who do you feel more confident in getting a major on their resume? Tony Finau or Viktor Hovland?
Oh, God.
I got to go Hovland. Also, I think that quote by Stark needs to be put on a t-shirt or something. It is the hardest thing in professional sports to do. Win a golf bet. That's it.
Win it outright. I'm going to say Tony, because
he's older, man.
I know. Victor
might have 40 more cracks at this.
Yeah.
That's 10
Yeah.
more years, 4 majors. He might miss, even if he misses 10 of those, he doesn't really have an injury history. He still have 30 cracks at these things.
I'd go Victor for sure.
Neither of those guys scream major champion to me.
What made you pick Tony before Victor? When your first thought?
I think that Tony,
He's just up there higher right now.
yeah, and I feel like in the clutch, he could make some big putts and all that. And I was nervous about every time Victor was on the green on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Tony, I'm like, hey, you know what? He's got a 7-footer for par. I think he could nail it. Where Hovland, I was like, he's gonna miss this.
But he did make a lot of those. I was nervous over a lot of Victor's putts too. I was the same way, and I was like, oh man. There was that one, okay, we haven't talked about it yet, but the Brooks where he drove it in the water. Oh, I don't remember what hole that was because it took so freaking long to figure out where he was going to place his golf ball. But I was like, they're going to go bogey on this because Hovland went in the bunker from the fairway and Brooks hit an amazing shot to get up on the green. And I was like, they're going to go bogey. There's going to be no blood. And because like Hovland's going to miss this putt after he hit his sand shot to like 7-8 feet and he canned it for par. He made another testy par for like 6 or 8 feet later on the tournament. He kept making some, so I don't know.
I thought that the course showed very well. I thought it was great. I thought by Saturday afternoon, I knew the course in and out. I knew what holes to look forward to. I loved 14. I mean, even the way the 14 tee is right beside the first tee, it was kind of cool. The guys on the first tee would be waiting to do the shot. They'd watch the guys on 14 go for it. Par 4, drivable for everyone except for Block. They would all be driving for it. They're like, so what? I get it in the bunker, the greenside bunker. I had to go up. It was like an uphill little chip. It was great. If you got on the green, you had an eagle putt. I thought it was so cool that you go from a drivable par 4 to a long ass par 3 the next hole. Just the layout was so good. There was trouble everywhere. The rough looked like a problem, especially when it was wet on Saturday. Great course. Loved it. I hope that they come back to this place again. I'm worried that now that the PGA's in May, they stay away from the Northeast because of the weather, but I thought it was awesome. I love the course.
Yeah, dude. Kudos to Green. Is that his name? The redesign architect. Really great job. I agree. Like you watch that course once on a broadcast, and then you can you remember holes. You're like, oh, I can't wait till they go to 14 or whatnot. So very cool. Very cool old course. They'll be back. As we learned from Reed last week, they play a lot of major championship golf up in New York State. So I can't see them not going back there. I think.
Yeah, and Brooks got 3 majors in New York now, so look out.
Yeah, geez. Going back to Brooks and that drop, why did it take them so long to figure out where to play it? And of course it's Brooks of all people who complains about slow play all the time. And I don't know. I think I went to the bathroom, was cooking up dinner, and then all of a sudden they're still figuring out where to drop it. Victor's over there waiting on the fairway, staring at him, dude, just drop the ball somewhere. It's on that side of the water. Player shot.
That brings me into one of the big talking points I had. The PGA Championship app was one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. I mean, these are billion-dollar companies here. The Players' Championship, they have a live feed of every single group. The PGA Championship app was 2 holes behind at times. Their yards were always way off. They would show left rough, and it would be 40 yards to the left, and then you'd see it on TV, and it was a foot into the rough. And you're like, we're just making stuff up now. They have the shot tracker for Brooks. They have all this technology. When he hits it into the water, can't they just know exactly where it went?
Yeah, the broadcast knows exactly where it went. There's got to be a way to relay that down or something.
The other, PGA Championship is the only event I think that they use the rangefinders, and I think it was awesome. Why not? Why not? I think it was Dottie Pepper on the broadcast saying, "Oh, that's they should know their yardages, and the caddies need to be marking them out, and they should be able to. They should do their own homework." I mean, come on, let's get things moving along here. Everyone in golf whether you're a 25 handicap or a scratch golfer, you use a rangefinder, except if you're on the PGA Tour. Why is that? That's ridiculous. Give these guys rangefinders. Let them know the yardages they're playing from. They still have to do their own math on wind and the
temperature,
that they swing. All that different stuff. So, I mean, just give them the yardage from where they're standing to the pin, so the caddy's not walking around looking for the water hose to figure out the yardage. It's ridiculous.
I agree, man. Like 100%. The rangefinder just eliminates some time. Like, we're all like crying about how long golf takes. The rangefinder just does that. It eliminates some time. You think about you golfing with some buddies. If you don't have your rangefinder, you can pretty much guess pretty close. And like, I'm not a professional, and I can get pretty dang close of what the actual yardage is by just like stepping it off from a sprinkler head or whatever. Like, it's not affecting the game of the golf that it's so minuscule how much it would affect that. Let's just give them rangefinders to speed it up a bit, because that's all it's going to do.
Yeah, the last thing I want to touch on for this tournament is the LIV guys. Obviously a huge topic coming in. They did great at the Masters, and they did great at this one again. What do we think the general consensus is on LIV? Because I feel like people are starting to maybe soften their stance.
I fired off a tweet after Brooks won, and I was like, where's the big party on 18 green, Greg Norman? I thought all the LIV buddies were going to hang out and celebrate a major championship.
That's only at the Masters.
Yeah, just Greg Norman being ridiculous. Like, I think we're starting to see that it's a little overblown, the whole LIV stuff. But it's still a big deal because you need these guys in the major championships. I don't know if they want to come back on the PGA Tour. It's a sticky situation, but golf is better with them in it, so I'm all for them being here. It makes the majors that much more fun because we don't get to see them every week. I don't know. What do you think, Stark?
They had 3 in the top 10 this week. I think the stance on LIV has completely changed. I think that people now know these guys can golf still, and they can compete, and they obviously can win. I think the players from the PGA Tour don't have as big a gripe with these guys as the media wants to play it out to be. We saw that with Rory giving Brooks a big hug after when he won and saying, I'll talk to you soon. The LIV guys have made the PGA guys a lot more money as well now, and everyone's in a good place. And I think that the PGA guys can be like, hey, we're doing our thing over here. This is how it works. This is what your life will be like if you play in the PGA Tour and the events you got to play in, and you're going to win a lot of money. Or you can go to LIV, where it's a little bit different. It's not as viewed. You can wear shorts. They got music playing, but you can make a ton of money. And we'll all meet at the majors, and we'll see who can win. I think the big question mark still standing now is just going to be the Ryder Cup. And if they let them play in it, which I believe Brooks is already now kind of qualified for just off of the Masters and the PGA. He's played that well. He's got enough points. So I'll be interested on that side of it. But other than that, I'm sick of this little rivalry thing. It's kind of gone. They show up. They're all friends. They're all trying to win. They're all trying to play good. They're all great golfers. So let them play in the majors. I like it. I'll see them 4 times a year, and it's something new to see.
The problem is, I 100% agree. We want to see these guys at the majors. Like, it would suck if we just lose half these guys. But if we need to find a way to get more of them into the majors, because unless they perform well immediately at the majors, their world golf ranking is going to collapse. Like, DJ is not that far out of not qualifying for the majors.
I don't know how they're going to handle that. They got to figure out how to keep these guys in, because they see the juice. The juice is there when these guys are in it. It's just a different dynamic. The broadcast, these guys don't even say LIV. I heard one announcer on the broadcast on Saturday call it the LIV tour. Like, come on, who you kidding here? It's the LIV tour. Say it. They play on a different tour. It doesn't matter. That's how they make their money. But when they show up at the majors, they're there to win. So let them play.
They didn't even mention it on PGA Tour Twitter. Made the most like monotone tweet for Brooks's win, and then proceeded with like 15 Michael Block tweets. So I'm assuming, Stark, you blocked those guys. No pun intended. What a week it was. Hopefully, this next tournament can even be 10% as exciting as the PGA Championship, and we still should have ourselves an exciting week. It's the Charles Schwab. The tour heads to Texas at Colonial for a great event that often brings us pretty solid finishes. We've had playoffs 2 of the last 4 years, including Sam Burns' thrilling defeat of now world number 1 Scotty Scheffler in a playoff. Before we get into the players, well, our guy Reed isn't here. He has been to and caddied at this course numerous times, and luckily for you guys, he sent me over a quick rundown. So I'm going to give it to you now. The Colonial Country Club, it's the 78th time the PGA Tour has gone there, the longest running non-major stop on the PGA Tour. It's a 7,200-yard par 70 with Bermuda fairways, bentgrass greens. I'm sure at this point, Reed would be telling us how, like, in the south of Texas, the bentgrass greens are faster or something like that, but that's above my pay grade. Big emphasis on second shots. Just 3 holes played below par last year. Water, not a big concern at this course. Only played in a few holes. We got tree-lined fairways with small greens. So as you guys can expect, this course, not a bomber's course. It seems to be all accuracy, all putting. Some of the past winners, obviously I mentioned Burns. The 3 before that were Kokrak, Berger, Kevin Na. And then obviously Jordan Spieth has basically dominated this event. And Stark, unfortunately your favorite player on the PGA Tour, he's in. Michael Block, he's in.
This is a nice, calm event after a major, unlike the Masters where they went right into an elevated event with everyone there and tons of money. Yeah, you're not going to get yourself in trouble. We're going to see some real low scores. We're going to see some guys that we haven't heard of in a while play good and get themselves into a leaderboard. We might get one guy to run away with it. We've had a mixed bag of winners in the past. Still a good event, and hopefully we'll see some good golf. Great golf course, as Reed had mentioned in his little write-up there. But yeah, you won't see too much trouble, and you'll see some guys try to get some real low numbers.
It seems like sometimes they can go low here. Sometimes it stays even under 10 under par. But I think if you look back at some of the previous scores, it'll hop close to 20 under par. So maybe it just depends on that Texas wind, what you're going to get each week. But it could be anybody's week this week. Like you said, it kind of is a second shot course. Feels like all these guys are great with their irons. If your foot put it in the fairway, you're going to have a lot of birdie chances out there. So a lot of great players are in the field. So it should be an exciting one. I think so.
Plus, the winner gets a pair of cowboy boots, I believe.
11 of the top 30 guys are in the field this week. And one of them, he's put on those cowboy boots a few times. And basically all the other times he's come near the top. Jordan Spieth, is he your early front runner?
He's not for me because he seemed still to be bothered by that wrist all week. And from what they were saying in the broadcast, if it wasn't a major, he wouldn't have been playing. He had it taped up all week, double taped, once around the wrist, once up the forearm. And I'm not sure if that affected him or not. And, is he the type of guy that can battle through an injury and play? I'm sure there's some obligations that he has to be here for some reason. Otherwise, why not take another week off and rest up until you're 100%? So I don't have him on my radar because of the injury. But I'm sure, back in Texas, he'll play
I
decent.
was going to say the same thing. He came out and said basically he wouldn't have played last week if it wasn't a major. So kind of questioning why he's playing this week. There's got to be something behind it. He maybe just likes his chances. Could be as simple as that. But there's a lot of guys to like this week. And Spieth, wouldn't be surprised if he's up there, just due to his past success here. He's a great player, great ball striker, great scrambler. His game can fit here. If he's finding a little bit of trouble off the tee, there's no reason why he can't hang around and be there at the end on Sunday.
I see the Spieth, I see the point with the injury concern, but he was driving the ball incredible. The broadcast was even mentioning this is like the best they've ever seen him drive the ball. And I should mention, I said that he's put on those boots a couple times. He's only won once, but he has 3 runner-ups and has come top 10 in 8 of his 10. So maybe I just have false images of him winning this event. I really like him. I think the injury is not as big of a concern as they're making it. He didn't seem bothered really at any point. But yeah, definitely a name to consider going into it. The guy maybe who he's probably going to win this tournament a few times, Scottie Scheffler in the field. He seems to just be in the field of every event and then always like a humongous favorite.
Yeah, lost to Burns last year in a playoff. Obviously got second in the PGA Championship. His game isn't going anywhere. He's just going to be here all year, it feels like. I don't think it was any like sort of hot start to the year and he's going to taper off. He's going to be, I mean, it feels like he's a lock for top 10s. Maybe a lock for top 5s. If you look at the odds this week, you're probably not getting very good money for a Scottie Scheffler top 5, which seems ludicrous. But a Texas native,
Scottie Scheffler.
He's got to love it out there.
Yeah, I feel like it's Scheffler and Rahm year, and they're just going to keep going back and forth, and we're going to see a bunch of them get, bunch of wins between the two of them, or at least top 10s for sure. So not surprised at all if comes Sunday,
I saw something
Scheffler's
like the last, 10 events or something they've played, like one of them has top 5 every week. Like you either see Rahm or Scheffler in the top 5.
That's amazing.
For the past 10, 15 weeks or something, is something incredible like that. They like would be an amazing like partnership if you're doing a little scramble there, a little best ball.
They just got to play the Zurich Classic, give them a win every year. Stark, would you agree this course kind of sets up not really, distance doesn't really matter off the tee?
Yeah, it doesn't, right? So you don't need a guy that's going to bomb it or try to cut around the corners. You got a lot of dog legs, so your iron game's going to have to be on point, but really it's going to come down to putting. Who's going to be the guy that nails the longest putts throughout the weekend. So I know when I was looking at making my bets, it was guys that I felt could putt the ball well, and hopefully will get themselves up into the top of that leaderboard.
Yeah, Sam Burns putted it up exceptionally the week he won. He seems to be on some sort of weird streaky train where he's missing cuts, but then he's also getting top 10s. He won this year already. It'll be interesting to see how the defending champion does this week. And then, I mean, I think a trendy pick will be Victor Hovland, where, maybe he feels a little hurt that he couldn't pull out the PGA Championship. And he wants to, show people he's a gamer and get a win here. So those will be some interesting guys to watch this week.
One thing I like about this event, I like the events. I know Nolan doesn't really care about it being lower scoring or a birdie fest, but I like when it's not a birdie fest. And this week, it's not a country club. It's not going to be one of those beautiful little courses, resort courses they call them. We should have a decent competition. 15 under par, I would say, is you're up there, maybe winning, probably winning. But yeah, it won't be a birdie fest, and I like that for events, especially coming off a major, where it's like you don't want to see a major where the score's in single digits under par, and then you get to one of these events, and it's like the winner's 27 under par. With that, we could get into our picks. Ian, we're gonna start with you this week since you're coming off the Brooks Koepka Toronto Blue Jays parlay win.
Watch out for those ones. So looking at this week, I tried to look at guys that maybe aren't the bombers, playing decent, can putt the ball. I stayed away from the outright winners because I just didn't think it was going to go that well. So here's what I got. I got Colin Morikawa, top 10 at plus 210. I think that he probably was upset about how he played last weekend, but he was okay. He was in the mix a little bit and just couldn't pull it off near the end. And then I got a guy that was talked about a lot going to the PGA Championship, and he's having a good year. Let's hope he keeps rolling with it. I got Ricky Fowler, top 20 at plus 125. And then another top 20 that I was able to find at amazing plus money is Sepp Straka, top 20 plus 375. This guy shot a 65 on Sunday at the PGA Championship to get him to -2, tied for 7th with Rory McIlroy. And you're telling me all he's got to do is finish top 20 and I get plus 375. Those are my locks for this week.
I love that Straka pick. I bet with a buddy last week that someone would shoot a 64 in the last 2 rounds, and there was like 4 guys who were at 64, and just no one did it. Straka was one of them. That's why I thought of that. Nolan, though, we'll go with your pick.
We got a lot of like similar flavors, Stark. I'll say that for sure. First and foremost, because I am a Block Party member, we gotta talk about his odds this week. Plus 40,000 to win this week. He's got better odds than the likes of Zack Johnson, Dylan Fratelli, and Kevin Kisner. I mean, I might sprinkle a little bit on that. Is that crazy? Is that crazy to say?
No, go nuts.
Keep the Block Party going, and I mean, see what happens. That's unbelievable odds. And I mean, we talk about Cinderella stories. Why not just make this a like dream come true here? Okay, but to be honest, I might do this one that I saw him at a top 40 at plus 240. That's like, that feels pretty. He just got top 15 in the PGA Championship.
If he completely blows up and shoots like 78, 79, does that tarnish what he did last weekend?
Not at all. And if you say otherwise, shame on you.
Well, hey, you might get a text at like 1 a.m. Friday night from me after a couple pops saying, yeah, how's your boy Block doing today?
It's very, very likely. Let's be honest. Like, I mean, that felt like a dream come true, what happened at the PGA. But like a dude that just got top 15 of the PGA, you can't come out and make the cut essentially at the Charles Schwab. You get plus 240.
Take it, Nolan, and you'll
I know,
be disappointed.
Right? I mean, if you want to get really crazy, he's plus 1,000 for a top 20. I mean, that's insane. Anyways, let's get into my some of my legit picks. Again, like what you were saying, Stark, I loved what you were saying, because I got, for my winner this week, a ball striker, Tommy Fleetwood, to finally get his first PGA Tour victory. The guy still hasn't done it. He's plus 3,000 to win this week. So I like Tommy Fleetwood. I'm also taking Fowler. I took him out as a top 10 though, however, at plus 275. I'm really liking his game this year. I think this course will do well for him. I think we need a little Ricky hype before the US Open. So I'm dipping into that top 10 for him. And Sam Burns is my final pick at a top 20. The defending champ, he's played well here even in other past years. Top 20 feels like a lock at plus 125. Get plus money for a defending champ. It feels pretty good in my book.
Yeah, Burns' last round was Friday at the PGA. He shot an 80.
Yeah. I saw that, Stark. Don't worry.
Just an FYI.
No one's getting out there with the picks. No one's helping build the next nice casino in Portland. I'll give you my picks. I kind of spoiled my winner pick. I'm going with Spieth plus 1,200 to win. I think, as I said before, I think the injury stuff a bit overblown. I think he played some incredible golf, was driving the ball incredibly, and that's what you love to see. If he's driving it well, he could get everything firing come Sunday this week. Another pick. I got 2 top 10s for you. It's Team Mora. What do they call himself? Morikawa Homa. Homakawa. That's it. Homakawa. That was the jersey. Team Homakawa. Morikawa plus 210 top 10 and Homa top 10 plus 230. I think both of them playing well. Homa still can't get it together for the majors, but we see time and time again at these events he's been doing great. Homa, you could take him to be the first round leader at plus 3,000. Don't mind a sprinkle on that. Then another guy, top 40. This is a guy Nolan's picked before, Eric Cole. I think he's legit. I think Eric Cole is legit.
I think he's made me like all my money this year. Like, I think I bet him like 3 times this year already. And I think I've hit every single time with him. He is a cut making machine. He'll pop up there in the top 20 every once in a while. So solid player.
and he was leading the PGA Championship. So this guy could deal with it. And then my other top 40, a guy I've picked before earlier this season, Akshay Bhatia, plus 140 for a top 40. I think Bhatia will be a PGA Tour winner. I don't know how soon, but I think he has the pedigree. He has the skill. Incredible putter out there. And I think in this field, I think a top 40, got to give him better than even odds.
Is Sahith playing this week? None of us went with...
I was like in a panic when Sahith got mentioned. And I'm like, I got to figure out, did I just miss him? So we had our guy Kevin just check the live odds. And then he had to inform me that Sahith isn't even playing, which made me realize that that's obviously why I didn't take him. Because if I saw his name there, I would have taken him. We're going to change things up a bit this week at Bunkertown and close it out with a few fan questions, followed by a new segment we called Bogeyed, featuring our worst plays of the week. Let's kick it off, though, with a question by Mike Witcher on Twitter, who asks, do we like this new schedule? Masters in April, PGA Championship in May, US Open in June, the Open in July. I get why they did it, but it seems a bit jammed. I'll go start with you, Stark.
I love it. I love it. Once the Masters hits, for me, it's golf season. Give me one major every month. It's perfect. I'm already jonesing for the U.S. Open, which is now another month away. We'll get through the 4 of them, end it with the Open Championship, which is always a great way to end it, as opposed to having the Open Championship and then the PGA, which it's kind of a downer after that. So this is a perfect spot for the PGA. Put it right after the Masters. It's still a major. It hits well. Good courses they always go to. Give me one a month. Go into the playoffs to end it in August. I love the PGA schedule right now.
Dude, yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think it just sets up perfectly. From the Masters into the playoffs every month, there's some big event. It's just, it's almost too perfect. I don't know. It doesn't feel too... what was our listener saying, too packed or too jammed. It feels like a nice flow to me. I don't know. It's a good way for, golf to be more focused and like viewerships to know what's going on. I think it was a good turn, and we've had amazing PGA Championships, and I feel like if you went and looked at their numbers, they've probably felt the same way, that they've gotten good viewership. So I like the way it's set up.
Yeah, I agree with you guys too. I think it makes it similar to more other sports where you got everything kind of, it is jammed together, but it's more of a season then. Instead of just golf is just all year round and never kind of ends. It's here's the main tournament, here's the big season, then you got a few months off. We all have a similar take on that one. Then we got Cody Kirk 22 asks, with the performance of the LIV guys in these majors, when will their events start getting WGR points? I know the stipulations they have, but it's kind of crazy. Some of these PGA events, like in Puerto Rico, get them, but not LIV events.
We might have touched on this a bit last week with Bob. I, for one, definitely think they should be getting points. Is it a significant amount? No, not really. They don't really deserve a significant amount. They only play 3 rounds. They have no cut, but they should be getting something, and the OWGR can evaluate that and make it fair and make it relatable to what other tours have. There's no reason why the LIV tour shouldn't, they're being blackballed, right? Like, there's no reason why. They're just another tour. They should get points. I get they have these different standards that OWGR is trying to tell them that they need to meet, but I don't know. I think that's just kind of petty. They should just give them a little bit of points, and then all this would be going away. I think it'd be like, yeah, okay, here's your points. You don't get a lot because you don't play enough golf or whatnot. You don't have enough players, but that's my take on it.
I don't think they'll ever get points. This is an old boys club golf, and they don't want them around. Not so much the players, just Greg Norman and the guys running the tour, the LIV tour. And this is the only way to essentially put them out of business eventually, is the players don't get points, The players don't qualify for majors. And once this crop, let's say LIV sticks around for 10 years, once this crop of golfers kind of runs their course and retires or continues to win majors and qualifies for them for the rest of their lives, the next crop of LIV golfers won't have that ability. So if you're a good up-and-coming younger player, your only reason to go to LIV is just really money, but you're giving up your chance to play in majors, and I don't know if guys want to do that. And that'll be the downfall of LIV, and that's the only way that they can get them out. And I think they stranglehold this. I don't think they'll ever give them the points.
Even if they were to give them points, based on the setup of LIV, they would barely get any, and I think we'd get the same problem of almost all these guys still wouldn't make the majors. Is it on LIV maybe to kind of change their format and get closer to how other golf leagues run their tournaments, have cuts, or even at least just add more players?
Yeah, I don't disagree with that statement at all, Zach. But what Stark is describing sounds like a disgusting cycle that we would fall into, to where new upcoming really good players start out on the PGA Tour, make a name for themselves, go to LIV, get a bag of money. They're good enough to play in majors for another 5 or so years, and then their career is over. And that would just keep happening. You'd have this like lull of like LIV not having any good players for a while or something like that. That just sounds terrible though, because then we don't get to see the best players in the major championships every year. So I hope they figure something out. But yeah, you're right. I feel like LIV needs to somehow compromise in some way.
Not to show my true Canadian side here and give a little history lesson to the kids out there, but that's what happened in the NHL. There was the WHA. They were giving these guys, these NHL guys, millions of dollars, which was unheard of in the NHL. Bobby Hall was a big name. He jumped and went, took the money. And it wasn't until a young up-and-coming superstar named Wayne Gretzky went to the Edmonton Oilers, which was part of the WHA, that finally the NHL said, okay, we need this guy in our league, let's merge. So until there's the next Tiger Woods that's tearing up the NCAA, and he announces before he even turns pro that he's going to LIV, and then PGA's like, oh shit, we need this guy in our tour, what can we do? Until that happens, I don't see anything changing and them giving them points and really concerned about their players.
All right, let's move on to the last question from Tara Chan. So out of all the Canadian golfers we have on tour right now, who do you think will win the first major? We'll start with Mississauga's own Ian Starkman for the answer.
I got to say Corey Connors. Honestly, I was so impressed with him this weekend. Composure, played well. He's got all the tools, putts well, drives the ball decent. His iron play is outstanding, and that seems to be a big thing for majors, is you got to get the ball on the green from every spot that you possibly can be at. You can't be in any trouble around the green because then you're going to bet bogeys. Does he have the killer instinct? Does he have the ability to go out and shoot a 65 or 66 on Sunday? That's the only thing that seems to be missing. There's some other good Canadian players, Hadwin, Taylor, Pendrith, Hughes, but those guys are good PGA players. And yeah, they'll win some PGA Tour events, but majors, I think Corey Connors is our only hope right now.
Just to play devil's advocate, I would go with Connors as my first pick, but Pendrith, I think he's got a shot too. He dominated on the Canadian Tour, then he dominated on the Corn Ferry Tour, and he started to play real well on the PGA Tour. He's a lot younger. We could see him come up and start maybe competing, and he's a bomber, so you get some of these tracks where maybe you eliminate half the field. You never know.
I totally agree, Zach. If I had to choose someone other than Connors, it'd definitely be Pendrith, and it's because of his length. You know, he could have a hot week. It feels like when you got a guy like that who can just kind of manhandle a course. So maybe it feels like maybe the PGA Championship, sometimes it goes to a hard course, sometimes it goes to a little bit softer course. So maybe they'll rattle one up. Maybe Mr. Pendrith can, stranglehold a course like that. But Connors is he's a good hope, right? I mean, he was there. He was right there. So fly that Canadian flag.
It was great on Saturday and Sunday when they show that leaderboard and they have the flags beside it. At one point, there was 2 Canadians top 10. That's awesome to see. Like as a Canadian guy, we never really had golfers anywhere in the mix of being top players. To see 2 of them in top 10 in a major on a weekend, awesome to see. I only want more of it.
All right, fellas, we get to introduce a new segment we're going to close things off with. It's Bogeyed. You've heard of Shacked and a Fool. You've heard of worst plays of the week. Now we got Bogeyed for you. It's going to be probably something pretty bad that happened on the course, something funny, but something that maybe wasn't spotlighted in the broadcast, a little thing here or there. And Nolan, I'm going to start with you with your Bogeyed
I feel like
of
I
the
could
week.
pick myself for Bogeyed of the week. You want to go looking back at my picks this week. Sung Jae Im shot an 80. I thought he was going to make top 20. I had Finau winning the golf tournament. He almost finished DFL after the cut. So brutal week for Nolan. But I'm going to go, and you guys will like this one because I'm going Michael Block. The coverage loved Michael Block a lot, right? But they're not going to show him shank of it. And this guy had just a cold, hard shank on the par 3 fifth, was it? And man, he recovered from it very nicely. So kudos to him. But blocking it to the right was the Bogeyed of the week for me. Ugly. You know, dude, I saw speaking of shanks, there's someone I saw on tour who's so dang good that they can shank it on purpose. And that's impressive. I don't know if you guys ever tried that. It's almost like a ball striking little drill. You feel like you're going to break your club if you've ever tried it before. It's kind of scary.
No, and that's just what I do with a 5-iron. It's just what I do.
I can do it so easily. Just shank it.
Yeah, just put a 2-iron, put a 3-iron in my hand, and I'll show you a shank. Yeah.
I'll just tell people it's on purpose. Stark, what do you got?
I got something that blew up the internet. It was all over TV. It became a kind of cool moment at the end, but we haven't mentioned it. Tom Kim just falling in the mud, walking into an area where he thought it was soft ground and he could go and find his ball, and the camera missed that. And then all of a sudden he was just covered in mud, and it was like late on Friday, I think. And the announcers were a little woozy and they were out of it, and they were laughing so hard, and they followed this guy just covered head to toe in mud, all the way up to his waist, his chest, his arms. You could tell that he probably fell and tried to put his hands to push himself up and just got covered even more. Then he had to walk over to like a pond area and try to wash himself off. I think he still parred the hole too, which was even better, but it was so cool to see afterwards when they showed him what happened. He laughed, and it was a genuine laugh of, oh my God, I just did this at a major on TV. So real cool moment afterwards, but something that'll live in the internet for the rest of time. Tom Kim covered in mud.
He seems shocked of like how much coverage there was of him just like rolling around in the mud. It looked like he had come up straight from a spa day or something where they do the mud baths.
Yeah, he was like shocked that there was TV coverage. Didn't know what to do with himself. Stark, that might be the bogeyed play of the year. We're going to put out like a poll for you guys to vote on. So let us know who you think had the best bogeyed of the week. But I mean, this one, Stark, you might have played to your audience really well. I'll give mine though. It's on the 14th hole. We talked about it, the drivable 14th. Jordan Spieth put his in the bunker, short of the green for a second. He was just 80 feet from the pin, and he thinned it out way out of bounds. Shot tracker put him at 45 yards away from the hole. I mean, it might have been way worse than this. He hit it like they had the bunker cam, and you just saw him hit it, and that ball just went flying out of the bunker.
Was that into another course? Did it? It went OB into, they share a court. I know there's like, there's another course part of the property, but then there's a separate course, not part of the property. And I think it went like into another course. So that ball was not getting found at all.
They're never finding that one. All right. You guys could vote on who you think gave the best bogeyed of the week. On this week's show, we talked PGA Championship, including Brooks winning major number 5, Michael Block's Cinderella story, and more. We gave our thoughts on the upcoming Charles Schwab Challenge, and we closed things out with some fun fan questions and our Bogeyed plays of the week. As always, thank you guys for listening. I want to thank Nolan and Ian. I want to thank our guy Kevin, working hard behind the scenes to get us sounding our best. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Bunker Township, and let's have ourselves a week.
That's tough. It's just, that is brutal. Bunker would be an advantage.